Hello! I am here now. Let me see. Can we just do that? Yeah, I guess we'll just do that. So, hello everybody. I'm actually streaming today, and I'm actually going to do Chapter 4 of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Might take me a while, but that's why I want to do it now. Plus, I really want to know what happened since the last time, where apparently the carriage was actually set on fire, and we don't know who is inside. My guess is that it was that Willy Wonka looking dude who was really smarmy, and we actually got him off of a guilty verdict last time. So that's my guess. So I will go ahead and continue where we left off, and we'll go from there. The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro. Is it Kokoro or Kokoro? I don't know. Episode 4. The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro.
I begin to think, Wilson, said Sholmes.
Oh yes,
turning his
Herlock
head
Sholmes.
blankly in my direction. That there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover. His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea.
Herbal?
Leading him to the
Herbal
distant
tea?
memory of that snowy evening. To the young lady collapsed on the pavement along Briar Road, and to the knife in her back. Lit in the soft glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
Ah, we're back at the, is it the Lieutenant or Captain? British Supreme Court. Lord Chief Justice. Lord Chief. Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruhodo? I can never say his name right. No, not at all. It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms were so luxurious, I felt like we were staying in a palace. And with all the gas lights twinkling, it was brighter than day, even in the middle of the night. What about the enormous beds? After my time on the SS Buria, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. That's right, he slept in a closet. I spent the entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other. Oh yes, it was really the sort of night you can only dream of normally. Except, when I learned that we owed £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Oops, sorry about that. The building was so impressive, and the entrance so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. I really am sorry. Well, never mind. We must find some more affordable lodging straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. I mean, only if you took that dude's money. London is a scary place. Good morning to you at this early hour. The layers here are so weird. What layers? What are you talking about? What layers? I mean, they're not. It makes sense how they did it, but it's so weird. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I guess you're talking about, like, the background and the, like, all this? Yeah. Good morning to you at this early hour. Ah, yes, it's Zell from Final Fantasy VIII's grandfather. Oh, yes, we are, well... Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We've come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday. Sasado-san is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid even in the presence of imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices. Oh yes, it was very eye-opening, thank you. And in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhodo performed his duty to the end. Yes, I've already been apprised of events. Apprised? Appraised? You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. Oh! No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. As the birds just fly from behind. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land. Thank you very much. So, I'm a lawyer now. Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem. Another case already? Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. I'm sure I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? Hey! Hey, Jeff, how you doing? I'm a lawyer! Yeah, something like that. Oh! Jeff, I know I'm streaming and all, and this is probably the weirdest way of telling you this, but I have your little cooler in the back of my car. I need to get to you. It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? Closure? You know, more than that carriage being on fire? The culpability of the defendant has not at the present time been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to prefer judgment. Yeah, that guy. I think he got burned alive. What was his name? Something McGilded, obviously. It was like Maxwell McGilded? Something like that? Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Like Maxwell McGilded? Montgomery McGilded? Some kind of fancy, snooty name. Wahahaha. I just can't help wondering if Mr. McGilded really was innocent. Mr. Naruhodo. It's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer. Sorry? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? It's not Chief Justice? Lord... whatever? Magnus! Magnus McGilded passed away immediately following the trial. No. So it was him in that burning thing. What? Mr. McGilded is dead? I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. Okay, there he goes. I'm just like, are we gonna talk? Like, what's going on? McGilded's death. I don't understand. What happened? How could he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. Yes, the fire. As you'll presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes. Yes. That is what was on fire. Yes, of course, that was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGilded had been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. Omnibus. Hey, there's a cow. Let me do this.
Oh, balmy.
There you go. No. How could such a thing have happened? And there's an Ira. Hey.
Spoopy.
That is being investigated as we speak, but already Spoopy. The police have identified a corpse found inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of McGilded. That's awful. The man must have slipped inside while the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. That bailiff really needs to pay more attention. Yeah, I agree. And how could that have happened? That is also being investigated as we speak. Yeah, I made a bunch of different commands last night and today. It'll be nice. And also, mods and myself can shout people out if necessary. So that's also a plus. So, like, for example, if I were to shout out Penny, I could do, you know, shout out. There you go. See? Can do that. Yes. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilda did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibus. Well, I must be making tracks now. It's time for the inspection. Sorry, what inspection? Lucky for you, I got some water. Thank you for the hydrate. I'll put that over here for right now. Well, I can't. I have to go on the ground. Well, if you do stream, I can shout you out. They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. Oh, that's right, he's Irish. Myself. Top of the morning to you, laddies. Yes, you are Penny. An inspection of the omnibus? Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. But then who was Mr. McGilda talking about? Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer of any concern to yours. Leave it to the police. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Poor Mr. McGilda. They were just after his Lucky Charms. So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was... wow. Mr. Naruhodo means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Wow, Sasato-san has such a way with words. And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. Jeez. Okay, bye birds. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. The most advanced in the world, is it? It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating, I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No, my apologies. What, did you rig the case? However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent, wouldn't you agree? Well, I don't know about that. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much at least is an undeniable truth, which is precisely why I've prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he going to say before? A new case. Could you perhaps give us some more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me it's a murder and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died as yet. Yeah, right? Trial starts in an hour. And the trial will not be today, so not in an hour. There's plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. Ah, so the trial's tomorrow then. Is everything alright? Oh, yes. I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was, well, it's left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruto. I don't know if I could face standing in that courtroom again after Mr. Begilded's trial. Ah yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. Oh. If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits the defendant. Yes, that's right. Here we go again. Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time he mentioned the 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruto. There's something I should like to ask you. Oh, what's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would be interested to hear exactly what you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world worked so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing. Oh. Another thing. Continue. On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important I have to do. Something very important. And what exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he ever made to Great Britain. You're out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion. I mean, at least he's precise. Mr. Naruto, what's this all about? Or what is all this about? Mr. Sogi never once mentioned anything of the sort to me. I urge you both to focus your attentions on the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to apprise you of the details. Look at this dude. How long has he been there? So, I wish you the best of luck. And bid you farewell. There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective, don't you think? Yes, you're right. I hope I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. No, he looks quite annoyed, actually. I'm assuming that instead of Herlock Sholmes, I'm assuming that's the Dr. Watson equivalent. And is he holding like a bucket of fries? Like, what is this? What is this, like French fries? Let me... Oh. What is that? But, buddy, what are you holding? Just look at all the naughty books packed together and... Oh, no, that's... Naughty books. What kind of shop you run in here, Chief Inspector, or whatever your name is? They're not all about British law either. They're a book about the judicial systems of other world. I was trying to look at the guy's French fries. I'm not talking about books. Why do you want to know how to say wardrobe in Russian? Yeah, you're not wrong. That indeed would be a naughty book, I suppose. Do I just have to click him? What are those? Buddy, what are you eating? What do you think? Lovely weather, isn't it? What's the weather got to do with anything? Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. What are you holding? Yeah, they look like potato wedges or French fries. Yeah, it's like a fry cone thing. What? With like maybe a corn dog in the middle. I don't know. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English gent eaten out of your hand, you know. What are you eating? But Sasada-san told me it was foolproof. Whoa. Are you hungry? And where do you keep getting more? This is... this guy. I'm a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here having to give the likes of you a talking to. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. You mentioned what the other officers there will be saying. Haven't seen Gregson everywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. And all because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard of. You're ruining your food. It is a dokie. Hey, Sanwin. How are you, sir? Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation at the yard going to tatters. There's no need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryonosuke Noruhado, a defense lawyer. Eh? Bottomless potato wedges, or that, or just a vast supply of them. Just order like a large fry for 5. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. A large fry at Five Guys will last you like a good couple hours. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. Sit. Eh. He's squeezing his fries again. It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? Don't tell me you're gonna respond to that. It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable. How did she pull that off? And where did your fries go? So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. The name's Tobias Gregson, Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson? What's the matter with Sasada-san? Yeah! No, it really is. A large fry from Five Guys it's just like a bag full of fries like this big. Like this big. It's just nothing but fries just overflowing. It's ridiculous. What's the matter with Sasada-san? Does this detective's name mean something to her? Inspector Gregson. Inspector, are you perhaps... Oh, is he, like, the Inspector Gregson? Oh, I'm getting it. I get it. Watson Gregson. So, that is the Watson for Herlock Sholmes or whatever. You're acting like you know this man, Mrs. Sato, but he's a London detective. Yes, the restaurant. Oh, I do know him very well, in fact. Very well. Yes, he features prominently in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Oh, in that publication. What's it called again? Ranced Magazine? Yeah, that's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful friendly rivalry. Really? You rival the great Mr. Sholmes? He's not that great. We kind of had to do his job for him. That's incredible. Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course. I can agree with that. But he does come up with the goods from time to time. Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of a bad lot of all the Scotland Yarders. Those were his own words. That's his highest praise? Hey, I'm not going to tell Zasato that. You can tell Zasato that. But I'm not going to get thrown across the room by her. So you can tell her to stop clapping. That's all on you. Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see. Oh, the fries are back. That he is not, and thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London town now. That's great, isn't it? Huh, I have to admit that, to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the yard went through the roof. Well, that's wonderful. No, it is not. There's nothing more sinister than the man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors? Are you quite sure? He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. The fame's gone to his head. Stuff like that. Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know what folk are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. I'm sure as eggs is eggs. But you're not holding eggs. You're holding French fries. Or a corn dog. Or both. I don't know. I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work. Oh dear. Perhaps a sudden rise to fame does change people. The case. So, but the case that Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned at the yard, it couldn't be simpler. Oh dear, that probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. Also, hi Tony, I see you there. A young woman was walking along the pavement on Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in the hospital, unconscious. That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind? I suppose you would have finished whoever it was off with a Sasato takedown, would you? That is neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo. Brace yourself, Ryunosuke. You've angered her now. Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit. Or, perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question. Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Barrack Van Zeeks. We just beat him. He's not undefeated anymore. No! Sounds like you've heard of him then. Oh yes, we're very familiar with Lord Van Zeeks. believed to be the harbinger of death itself, the Reaper of the Bailey. Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Barrack von Zieks, who we faced in court only yesterday, and beat. Mr. McGilda told us about him before the trial, didn't he? Flashback. When Van Zieks stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. Except for ours. Unless he is the one that killed Willy Wonka guy. You know, Irish Wonka. This Reaper of the Bailey nickname, I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty, is that it? Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zieks, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty. Huh. And what of it? Oh, well, I think that means even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant. No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? Where did you put your fries? Did you just shove them in your pocket? Just like, I'm done with these. What happened to that bloke in the end, huh? He's dead. Ah. Magnus McGilda came a cropper in that omnibus when it went up in flames. So you can't rightly say you saved the defendant, can you? What? What are you saying? Look, if Van Zieks could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles. He works magic. Black magic. Saving them for later. Yeah. Yeah, you just save them for later. It's like, oh, these are still good. I'll just shove them in my coat pocket. Oh, yeah, you're taking them back out, are you? I'd have a good long think about that if I were you. Are we really supposed to believe that? Right. Well, I've filled you in as requested, and I'm very nearly out of chips. So they are fries. So I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there. It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place? That's correct, ma'am. And if you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You've branded him a criminal already? He's as good as shaken like a leaf in his cell, he is. It'll give you a chuckle if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and he'll show you the way. Inmate 53. Thank you. Okay. Bye, buddy. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? Naruhodo? To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage, too. But if the man they've arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell, and I for one wouldn't find the sight of that funny. So... if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself, and I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I'd like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? Did you really think you had to ask? And after all, I am your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes, let's go. And now, the investigation starts. So we're going to the prison first, because that's where they said to start, and that's where I think we should. 19th February, local prison cell 9. I thought he's inmate 50. I guess it doesn't matter. So these are British prison cells. Oh, they're ghastly. It feels just like a dungeon. Yeah, it looks like a dungeon. Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls. Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo. You're making it seem worse. Probably is worse. Apparently, our client is in this cell here. But it's so dark at the back there, I can't make him out. I wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop hiding at the back of the cell and show your face at once. Am I a cat, as yet with no name? Oh no. You're crazy, aren't you? Calling me by a number, it's utterly unbelievable, unjustly unreasonable. I refuse to answer. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. You're gonna look crazy too, aren't you? Mr. Naruhodo, what? What do you think is going on here? I have no idea, but I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Was it? I couldn't tell. Well, you don't look crazy, you just... But those eyebrows, what is with those eyebrows? Dude, you got a couple, like, caterpillars on your face? Like, what's going on? Are you related to, like, Eugene Levy? What's your deal? Excuse me, but... Ooh, shh, quiet. You good? They're all around hiding, I know they are. They're watching, listening. Even now, I can sense it. Right. So, could I ask you who... There you are, you've come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it, you're a ghost. A ghost? I called it! Dude's crazy. We mean you no harm, prisoner-san. Are you... Japanese by any chance? This is beyond my wildest dreams. Forgive me for that outburst before, I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We were just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it. It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown. She's fading in and out, stage right, and we're doubting him for leaving him. He goes, that's true. It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am in a frightful fix in a foreign land. So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment. Who could have guessed that this new client Lord Strongheart assigned to us would turn out to be a fellow Japanese? I thought you were going to say would turn out to be a crazy lunatic, but okay, we'll go with that. Or raving lunatic would be more accurate. Ah, what compassion my fellow countrymen show to dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. You're a student? Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nippon. Dude, stop. A first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here. I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what's happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example? Yes, I can, I will. God, this guy! Yeah, no, he's absolutely doing, like, Ginyu Force stuff. He really is. Shan't stay sullen and silent. He's absolutely doing, like, Ginyu Force poses. You are right, Penny. I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but he seems happy. Oh, he sure does. Yes, he does. I just hope he actually has a good reason to be. Thank you for your cooperation. I'm a lawyer, as you said. My name is Ryonosuke Naruhodo. Naruhodo. Why can I never say his last name? I always end up saying Hado, not Hodo. I can never say his last name. Well, technically, I guess it's first. Yeah. I can never say Naruhodo. Naruhodo. I guarantee you the next time I say it, I'm going to say Hado again. Bet you. Also, I'm going to turn my lights to purple again while I'm at it. Hey Google, lights purple. Better. Now, let's go ahead and just watch me say Hado again, because that's just what I do, apparently. Do this. Okay, that works. Oh, here we go. And I am Naruhodo San's judicial assistant, Sasato Mikotoba. I am a visiting student sent here by our government, notoriously named Natsume, Saseki Natsume. I hate your Ginyu Force stuff. I do. I really don't like you. Saseki Natsume-san. What an unusual name. Call me Saseki, please. I'm a poet, you say. No shit. You don't say. I'm a poet, you see. A writer of haiku. It's something of a nom de plume. A nom de plume? You mean an alias? That's right, Naruhodo-san. Almost did it. I almost said it. No, don't be so prosaic. It's much more refined than that. And haiku, that really reminds me of home. What was it? 575 for a haiku? Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government? Yes, that's right. A year ago I was told to go and study English. First I had to suffer that misery, and now this. It's beyond the pale. Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here? No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh. But, okay, you need to calm down, buddy. Just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it? No. What do you mean? If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable. No. No. I see. Only the other day I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Oh my god, with this dude. Stop. Stop. Wise words on white washi. You must be a man of great standing. Oh, he's something. I'm sure it is. Not saying it out loud, but I'm sure it is. You must be a man of great standing. It sure is. Oh yes, so I'm often told. And often like to be told, it seems. Thank God. We can move on to the next one. The accusation against you. How many times is he going to Ginyu pose this time? Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Saseki-san? I didn't do it. I didn't commit that atrocious murder. Murder? Oh, no. It's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes. Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? If I'd seen the person who did it, do you think I'd be locked up in here? Oh dear, it seems this case is becoming rather complicated. Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse of London. It's... There it is, here's the first one. Incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient. So Soseki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker. It's vital that we find out more about the case. Oh boy, we get to talk to you more. Actually, bear with me for just one moment, and I will be right back, everyone. Won't take me very long. Let me just figure out... There we go. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Back to about the case. It was an accursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I had been to the bookshop to buy some books. Where were you? I did leave the radio on. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings. Sure, the bookshop wasn't accursed too, right? As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another head of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was. And just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. I don't see much of anything just in this picture alone. Outside of, you know, her being stabbed. There's no blood. I try and at least, you know, look at things before continuing on. Just for evidence and see if I can find out anything. How terrible. I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard. Stop. He died of a sudden heart attack brought on by this knife in his chest. It was in the back. Slight exaggeration there, perhaps. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. That's not good. It's her back. She was stabbed in her back, not the front. They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that. Tell me, Saseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous. You think I know any of these fair-haired English? And a young woman at that? I'm diffident, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. I see. A young woman unknown to Saseki-san. And at the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anybody pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh, great. So the victim was unknown to you, and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it? What conundrum? Oh, well, she didn't just stab herself, did she? Like, how would you do that anyway? You just do that and just stab yourself in the back like that? It's a little tough to do, isn't it? What do you mean, Sasato-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Soseki-san has just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says that he didn't know the victim, and that there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen. I did. But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit. What did you just say? Nothing. I didn't say anything. Oops, perhaps I thought that a little loudly. Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Saseki-san actually come to be arrested? Sorry? He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place? Oh yes, she's right. Are there cameras? There could have been cameras at this time frame. It's like the early 1800s, right? I think. It was him. That accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck. Accursed great detective. Could it be? Oh, it's Sherlock Holmes. I should never forget that man's name as long as I live, with his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed busybody, be gone. Yes, that guy. Yes, Sherlock Holmes. May you be cursed until the end of your days, Sherlock Holmes. Hey, it's so stupid. I knew it. Mr. Schultz. Oh, boy. Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure. Well, not at least before him, you know, doing 7,000 Ginyu Force poses, at least. It was the morning after that nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me, "This is the police, put the weapon down." Yes, it was a thin sliver, and yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon. Nope. Disgusting dietary discrimination devils. Is there a choice to make you guilty? Can I refuse to be your lawyer? Is that a thing I can do? Probably not, but boy, I'd like to. You clearly had a trying morning yesterday. And there he was in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Sherlock Holmes. It's actually Sherlock Holmes. He's English. I've since found out that he's a famous name and are there any choices? There are choices, yes. It's just long dialogue right now. Because I think this is a case that we're actually going to investigate. The previous cases, there was no investigation. It was just straight into the court cases. I think this one's actually going to be a long one with investigation and whatnot. So yes, there are. I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection here in London. Yes, the great detective is really very well known. And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman, me, this weak, stooped kitten of a man. I wondered what great deduction process led him to this conclusion this time. Do you mean to say that Mr. Shelm's deduction was the only reason that the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. I wonder if she was carrying one of his books. Or if he dropped a book near her. Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in. Of course you were, that's only natural. I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me in impossible English. Fiendish foreign film flammery. I hate that. Well, we are in England, you can't really blame them for questioning you in English. Good point, good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes I do, and I'm fine. The next thing I knew, I was in manacles. And before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising. I'm fine? He's not fine now. I wonder if the I'm fine thing is a callback to Apollo Justice from the previous games. Which, Naira, you will probably run into that once you finish the other games. Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo. I wish I could call you by your other name. I'd have a better time of it. And when we're speaking English, a simple Mr. is more than enough. Oh, yes, alright, yes. They've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, Herm... Why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me? Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself on a study tour. A student? I've defended a case in the Old Bailey. Only the one, though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Whew. Oh, Naruhodo-san. I'm not even a foreign student who is supposed to be here. I'm a sort of locum lawyer, I suppose. But that armband, that's the mark of a defense lawyer from our great empire. It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend. A keepsake? I know exactly what they're saying about me. Oh, who do you mean? The lawyers, all the British defense lawyers. They won't defend me. Goodness, why? Why do you say that? For the same reason as you noted before, when it happened, there was only the victim and myself around. Unless it was a throwing knife? Somebody could have just... Somebody really good with throwing knives. There was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. I wonder if you were supposed to be the victim. You got close to the lady. Somebody either stabbed her or threw a knife at her, hit her instead of you, and you ran away. Possibly. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. It must be very hard for you, Sasaki-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them, someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before in my earshot with any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. That's awful. They're wrong. I've studied more English than half the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through. Sasaki-san, it's just that... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues... don't know why I'm yawning so much right now. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Because it's still fairly early, it's just midnight. Oh yes, thank you. I'll be here all alone waiting for you, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. We should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for. Is there any more conversing? Thank God, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I know I will. Briar Road, because we gotta go look at the body. We gotta go investigate the body. The damn body. That bike is broken. Give them also right? So this is where it happened. Willis watches Henderson Brewery, Daily News, The Metropolitan, William Robbins, Practical Optician. Ah, look, Mr. Naruhodo. Look at that regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. Mr. Naruhodo. There it goes. Mr. Naruhodo. Why? Yeah, you're not... Yeah, I guess. I guess, Penny. To see one with my own eyes. They're often depicted in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, but I never dreamt I'd ever come this close. To a real Bobby's helmet. Dang it, Bobby. What, the helmet? Hee, of course. I have to try one on one day. Well, I hope your Hattie dream comes true. Oh, hello, Fry Guy. What's the Japanese delegation doing here? Oh, Inspector Gregson. This isn't on the tourist trail, as I'm fairly sure you're well aware. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So you've been to the holding cells then. What do you make of the criminal? He's not a criminal, as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. It doesn't bother me. The bloke's in court tomorrow, whatever happens, and the verdict's a foregone conclusion. The stone-cold air of rejection. Take heart, London at this time of year is full of stone-cold air. That makes it worse somehow. So I gotta talk to you now. Yes. Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated police and organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am. Whoop. 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 Nope. Go back. Oh, and you know I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby's helmet. It does make them look the part, seeing that policeman there with his helmet on. You certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful? Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh, really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes round and rouses all the laborers on his beat so he can get off to work. What? He wakes people up? Yep, raps on their windows with a long pole. Did it myself going back a bit. I had no idea. The Bobby works for the people of the town. It's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day, all long. All day, all long? He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. I can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. 20 miles. That's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. And when it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps. Oh my. And I suppose in between all of those duties, bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well, and chase after criminals trying to evade the law. I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly, more alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men kneeling over from time to time, or keeling over from time to time, I admit. Yeah. I always dreamed of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo. Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. About the case. It happened around 5 in the evening 2 days ago, just there on that open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in hospital. I never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around perfectly smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. Yikes, rude. I suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's yard policy to give lawyers, defendants, suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept. Cool, I want to look at it right away. Anyway. Court record! So she died here. Magnifying glass isn't gonna do anything. Are these like in between roads? Like right around here? Like in between the houses? If so, then whoever stabbed her could have been right here, as the other guy was walking down the road with her, or going to pass her. So the other guy could have been like along her side here, and a person could have been waiting right here. It's very possible. Anyway. As far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. Actually, it's possible if there's any room in between these two buildings. So who did it, you think? Not much of a head scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsumi is also claiming to not have seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone doesn't mean that we can be sure that nobody else was present. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure. How? Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have 2 very reliable witnesses, no less. That means there are people around. Thank you, sir. Ah. It was typical fog. Ugh, yeah. It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. There are witnesses now. Witnesses! Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. Ah. A policeman? That might change things. And this policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked? Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a bobby, catching them banging the act and all that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Be my guest. You can ask him what you like. In court tomorrow. Oh, I've no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So that'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems. A policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed. Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me of that too. I am yawning up a storm today. God. Jeez. Oh yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? The person who led you to the suspect? I hear that was Mr. Sherlock Holmes. What are you bringing him up for? Was it something I said? The color is drained from his cheeks. Ugh. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I'll just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Veil, you mean? There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. It is all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper, he hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. Yes, we did hear something to that effect. And that the only people he usually bothers with are the real scum, the master criminals, the violent ones. Master criminals? The violent ones? That's right, he handpicks his victims, only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely. That's just my point, Sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So this isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for lack of a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No, there's got to be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? He doesn't know, clearly. You think I could tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? Ozzy? You'll have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. Are we really going to have to face the Reaper again? The Lord of Darkness, as he put it? And let's talk about Mr. Sholmes. Sit up straight again. Who did you hear that name from? It was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. I'm sure it was the result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions. Fiddle-faddle. Eh. The man's an amateur. I'm getting sick of tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Huh? I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Yeah, no, that's about right. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Gibble gabble. Yeah. Ever seen this before? Oh yes, that's Rance Magazine. The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Sherlock Holmes appears. Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as he put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in the stories. And the so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. Ugh. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in any Sherlock Holmes tale at all. Well, I suppose there's an element of that. We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be frumped by the public, thanks to that obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us in Scotland Yard as he is to all our criminals. That can't really be true, can it, Inspector? Clearly the great detective and the police have a complex relationship. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective. don't think so either. Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion? Oh yes, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. About what? By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes? Of course you do. He's just gonna be just as belligerent. Great. Yes, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, or Herlock Sholmes, exactly. Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all of this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you just gonna ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Sholmes again. A little bit. The trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address even. So how? It's Baker Street. Let me guess, 221, or, yeah, 221B or 21B Baker Street? How do you know that? It's in the stories, of course. 221B Baker Street. Well, they did keep Sherlock Holmes' original address. So that's interesting. It is 221B Baker Street. I think that's the original address. Let me just... yeah, 221B Baker Street. Yes, that is the original address of Sherlock Holmes. So they did keep that, so that's very interesting. The most famous address in the world. Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We better try and find our way there before Susato-san gets any more excited and unpredictable. Hurrah, I'll summon a carriage. So we're to have a reunion already with the great detective Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Oh, well, I'm done talking to you. A new location's been added. Yes, his address. I think we should examine things here first. Patch of pavement must be where the incident occurred. It's wide open space. It's true I can't see anywhere an attacker could have been hiding. Unless they were the snowman. Oh, wait, what are you foreigners doing here? We were, just investigating the scene. Conspiring with that mustache fellow from Japan, are you? Conspiring? Come here to destroy evidence, have you? Get out of here before I give you an Aiden? Go on. You shoot us away like rats. Yes, we should give him a wide berth, I think. What a disappointing experience. Sorry, you didn't get to wear your hat. What about you? Oh, okay. Hi, a really cool username. Edgeworth isn't in this game. But okay. You do you. That's one of the officers from Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed. Von Zeke says, yeah, he is a vampire, dude. So, yeah. Yeah, okay, I could see that. I guess he is kind of the Edgeworth of this game. Also, welcome to the stream. That's one of the officers from Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed. I have a feeling that if we wander too close, we'll be clapped in irons. Not too bad. I can't really complain. I've really just wanted to keep playing this game. I've kind of held off on finishing it for a while. So I'm actually really glad I actually get to finish playing it. We're on Chapter 4 currently. And I think there's only 5 on this game, unless they surprise us after finishing the 5th one with a extra one, which some of the old games do. Unless it's only 5. I don't remember. I thought there was like bonus missions on some of the older games. I think perhaps you're being a little overcautious. In this game? Okay. Well then we're a long ways. Well, we're almost halfway then. We've done nothing wrong, so we have no cause for concern. Oh no, I'm not getting caught out again. Twice is enough. Twice I found myself in handcuffs despite not knowing a thing about what was going on. Yes, you've had some dreadful experiences. I'm sure it's the wide-eyed look of panic you're so prone to. It does you no favors at all. Oh, look around. Is there... Oh, there's more. Yeah, what's with the bent bicycle wheel? Oh, a British bicycle, look. Although the wheel is so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be ridden anymore. Plus 1 or 2 hours worth of side episodes and the special content called Escapades that all take place in the first game. This collection has 2 games in it. Oh! I did not know that. So yeah, there's a lot more to do then. That's cool. I like that. Because I really, really enjoy the Ace Attorney games. Another person who's actually in chat somewhere, I think she's still listening, Naira Dreadful, who's another streamer that I know, is just now getting into the original Phoenix Wright games. So she's just getting into it, and I hope enjoying it. I'm pretty sure she is. But she thought few almost done. No, not even halfway. No, I'm glad. I didn't want this to be short. I really didn't, because I really enjoy playing these games. This one seems to have a lot more dialogue that I've noticed. Because we only just now got to the investigation portion of it, and it's still a lot of dialogue. Unless it's just me, but I feel like there's more in this game. Someone must have been doing breakneck cycling. It seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. There's even a movement to change women's dress to allow them to ride as well. The bicycle fad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that. At least not on the snow. Icy roads, you can't ride a bicycle on. I can barely drive a car on icy roads. Goodness, do you dislike bicycles? No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. It's just that any occupation that involves taking both your feet off firm ground seems reckless. If you'd ever tried walking on stilts and fallen into a river, I know you'd agree with me. Maybe that's why it's bent? Maybe... Why is it bent? I must be missing something. I figure that has to do something with the case, because why would they put that there? Like, did the lady, fall on the bicycle or something? It's hard to say. I'm sure it has to do something with this case. Strand Street... Anything out of the ordinary here? Snowman looks fine. Let's look at the carriage, I guess. It's not going to tell us anything. Oh, it's a Scotland Yard garage. They use vehicles like that to rush the crime scenes and cart away criminals. You're very well informed, aren't you? Yeah, the snowman did it. They were hiding in the snowman. It's long been a dream of mine to ride one of those through the streets of London. We'll just pick up a stone and throw it through one of the windows then. But that would mean being arrested in order to ride it, wouldn't it? Yeah. Bonus points if you hit somebody with the stone. Still, if it's the only way, help me find a good stone. Hey! Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Very much so. No, I wasn't serious. So, thank you very much. A really cool username. Let's check out the snowman, shall we? Hee hee, what a delightful snowman. I didn't realize the English had a tradition of making snowmen as well. It looks a little creepy, though. Oh, it has a scarf, look. You'd need one if you were out this freezing cold all the time. I wish I had one. I'm afraid our budget is somewhat frozen at the moment, too. We certainly can't afford a scarf. Surely the snowman here wouldn't miss his. But the person who made the snowman certainly would. Yes, I know, you're right. Anyway, even if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, would it? It's covered in snow. Alright, what else we got? I don't think there's really much else here. I've already looked at him. I've looked at over here, the snowman, the carriage. Okay, I guess we gotta talk to Sherlock Sholmes. I don't think we missed anything here. Oh, we got an animation. And you got to ride in the carriage. Kinda.
Thank you very much.
It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day.
Thanks again.
I really enjoy watching these. Really good animation.
This is it. The residence of Mr. Sherlock Sholmes.
Is it just as messy as Sherlock Holmes' stuff? Oh, is that the only animation? Yeah, it is. Darn. And yes, it is just as messy. At least they keep to the whole Sherlock Holmes theme. Sholmes is sweet. So this is where the great detective makes his living. It feels surreal to be here somehow. Let me guess, is he hanging from the ceiling or something? Is it as described in the stories, Miss Sasato? Sasato-san? Sherlock is a wonderful theme. The first time you hear it, it's like, wow, what a smart and amazing guy. By the fourth case, you're like, wow, this guy's bullshit again. Oh, I'm already there. I was there by the first case. I'm just like, wow, this guy... I'm like, this dude's just full of himself. He doesn't know what he's doing. So yes, absolutely. This guy's bullshit again. Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room. Oh, I suppose they must have been, yes. I never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be. The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. No, yeah, no, he's harmless. He's just stupid. Like, he's not bad. He's just stupid. He's just like, I have a hunch. Must be fact. Off we go. But evidence doesn't matter. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo? No, not particularly. Oh, I suppose I can, yes. So if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please, don't mind me. She's obsessed. Looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me, is anybody home? He's got to be hanging from the ceiling or something. Oh, it's her again. Hello, is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes? Hello. Wait, aren't you... Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once. Did they replace the nice old lady that owns the building with her? Maybe. What was her name? What was her name in Sherlock Holmes? Oh, I can't think of it. You know what? I'm gonna look it up real quick because I want to know, and it's gonna bother me until I think about it. Mrs. Something. Ah, why can't I think of it? Mrs. Hudson, thank you. Mrs. Hudson, thank you very much. Because it's one of those things, now that I think about it, it'll bother me until I know what it is. So did they replace Mrs. Hudson with her? No. Okay, so there is going to be a Mrs. Hudson, I guess. I'm sure it's the same girl. Miss Sato, did you see the girl who was just here? Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? She's out of it. To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case. The King of Bowaria? King Wilhelm Gottsreich Sigismund von Ormstein, of course. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment and look over there. The tea is brewed and I have a freshly baked cake as well. Ah, it's you. I knew it. Sasato-san recognizes her too. Yeah, she had the rocket launcher. Oh, there you are. And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. I like the little keychain thing she has down here. I like that. It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGilda's trial. I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London. Oh yes, it was challenging. Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know. Oh, thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color? There's actually a lot of different colored teas. I've seen, like, tea that's pink before. It has, like dragon fruit or something in it. It's, like, looks really good. I haven't tried it, though. So there are different colored teas. Outside of, like, black, green, white. Alright. Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray, it's a winner. I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here. And you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you? Hurley? Mr. Sholmes, do you, Shirley? Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand today, even though he's just returned from overseas. Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all these things, do you think? And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Sholmes' suite? Oh, silly me, I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. I live here together with Hurley. Oh, she's Watson? I thought the Scott... Oh, yeah, I guess so. That means they made Watson into a little girl. Interesting. I thought the other dude, the Scotland Yard guy, I thought he was Watson, but I guess he's, I know who I'm thinking about, but I just can't think of the name. But I get it now, yeah. Oh, what? What's the matter? He's just a detective? No, wait, this can't be. Did you say that your name is Wilson? The one eating fish? Yeah, him. Because he's like the lead detective guy, who's always annoyed that Watson and Holmes are around, right? At least that's what it seems like to me, anyway. Gibson. Yeah. What's the matter with Sasato-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden? Yes, that's right. And what are your names? Oh, I'm Ryonosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan. Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Sasato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Runo. Got it. Susie? And Runo? There's more to this girl than meets the eye. I have so many questions for her, I don't know where to start. Yes, and so do I. Talking time! Iris. It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey? Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming. Though at the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us. Like this? Gulp. Ah, thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you? Oh yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade. Oh, Ginny? Yeah, she's a professional pickpocket. So we found out. It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that. Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption? Exactly, so I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my vengeance. This girl's dangerous. Anyway, I brought Ginny here back after that, so she could apologize to my trusty technician. Sorry, your technician? Hurley, of course, silly. Hurley? Yeah, Herlock. Yes, Herlock Sholmes. We live here together. We deja vu. We've been through this. She kind of gives me like a Tiny Tina vibe from like Borderlands, almost. Like she really does. I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter. Daughter? Not likely. What? I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Well, I expect you found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate. Your roommates? I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at least. 10 at last this year. Well, what of your mother and father? Oh, no, they're not around. Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. I wouldn't go budging into her personal life, but, you know, that's just me. Oh, yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course, of course. Go ahead, Susie. I'm a very great fan of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, and... Oh, you have a copy of Rancid magazine? Yes, I've read every issue. Yes, she did already give us nicknames. Runo and Susie. Yes, I've read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world. My stories? That's right. Hurley is always solving such major cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It'd be such a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness. Last night, he was telling me all about a new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you are the author? Yes, I'll let you in on a secret if you like. I'm going to call this latest adventure The Speckled Band. The Speckled Band, that's certainly very familiar. Yeah, because it was a snake. I believe. Was it a snake? I think it was a snake. Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories here and there. This time I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble. Alright, that's right, dude. Oh, that was Mr. Sholmes' first thought as well, actually. That's right, it wasn't a snake. Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but it's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you? So do you mean to say, are the stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in the Rancid magazine all written by me? Yes. Basically, yeah. That's basically right. all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson. The Solder-san's getting more and more worked up. Yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true, too. I am a doctor of medicine. No, at 10 years old? At 10 years old. Well, that's quite incredible. But Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Ah, yes. I did alter the setting slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Oh. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow? I suppose it does, yes. It is very anime-ish. Especially the hair. Your deductions just now. About before. Yes, what's on your mind, Bruno? Do tell me. How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean? Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all of that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please, tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted, although there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris Wilson is proud to present... Oh, now she has that gun. Logic and reasoning spectacular. First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Bruno. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber. But you also said that we'd only just arrived in London. How did you know that? I observed a passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket. Oh, so I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me that you were unaware of London's court affairs. The Reaper of the Bailey? I walked right into that one, didn't I? Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison with me with the suspect, weren't you? Earlier today? Ah. They use those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see. I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGilded, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. Yeah, so she's actually the smart one. Clearly. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case. Magnus McGriddle. How could you have known that the trial was tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It's obviously amused him. He told me that he'd caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling. A Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been... Mr. Natsume. Now, Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley's always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. He is silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct? They were spot on. That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction. You even managed to certain something of Mr. Sholmes' delivery. Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please? Hey! I love how she doesn't follow him. He just lets him roam around and makes money selling his... Yeah! But I mean, that's also kind of what Watson did. So yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying? Yes. Hurley had just arrived back in London after a sea voyage, but the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. Ah, the great detective is a popular man, it seems. Apparently a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking stooped man. You know, performing Ginyu Force poses all over the place. Just running away, going... doing that sort of shit. Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubt. Saseki-san said that he didn't see anybody else on the street at all. Thought Watson worked with him. Iris loses it. Well, she just said... Well, Iris literally just said... It would sound funny if a 10-year-old girl was following him around, so she changed it to a, you know, English gentleman. So she might follow him around. She didn't say that she didn't. She just said it would sound weird for the stories if she put down that a 10-year-old girl, followed a grown man around on his adventures. So my guess is that she does. But it seems there were witnesses after all. Hurley used his great deductive powers to determine the man's address. There was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking stooped man, shivering in fear. Mr. Sholmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark that time. Of course it did. He's a great detective. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it? Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime. Oh. Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. But she also said if Hurley tells her all of his adventures, why would she do that if she was with him? I don't know. Maybe she doesn't go with him on all of them? Like, she couldn't have gone with him on the boat. I would assume not. But she may go with him on local ones. I gotta stretch. Thank you, Cal. Oh, actually, like, popped my elbow a little bit. Thank you. Okay, Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Oh dear, I haven't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. That's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system. I suppose it is, but in that case, I don't hold out much hope for Saseki-san. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative. Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well. Well, I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene. Of the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, Mr. Nuts Ome. Hurley, Mr. Nuts Ume. Nuts Ume. Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there? Yes, we know Inspector Gregson. Ah, goody. In that case, give Gregsy this from me, will you? Would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know. What is this? A 5 shilling piece and a postcard, it seems? Iris' postcard is... yeah, I don't need to read that. Natsume. Natsume. I just like the way that she worded it out. Natsume. Oh, I missed that last part. Let me read it back. It reads, tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem. Gosh, this will make the inspector help us, will it? Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. Good luck, then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band. Alright, well, thank you for stopping by. I'm just going to call you ARC. Thank you for stopping by, ARC. I appreciate you stopping by. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. You have yourself a wonderful night, and sleep well. I'd be delighted. Thank you very much, Iris. She said she was going to make different tea, or more tea. Well, Mr. Narhodo? I said Hodo again. Hodo? It's back to the scene of the crime. ARC is my nickname, actually, and have a good night. Yes! Well, ARC is probably much easier to say than a really cool username. So, cool. I'm glad I caught your nickname. And thank you very much. So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note. Nah, I'm no Sherlock Holmes, I'll tell you that. We headed back to the scene with Iris' curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. To be continued. Is this a save point? It's a save point. Well, I've been streaming almost 2 hours, and I am yawning quite a lot. So I think I may actually call it here anyway. Otherwise, this is going to end up becoming a 4-hour stream. And I do not think I can do that. But I will finish this. I may finish it tomorrow. At least this chapter. Let's see who is on currently. Oh, I'm gonna save the progress though, of course, duh. I wanna see who's on. There's Indigo, there's Zacronus, Cyber, Tatterwing, let's see. I know Indigo looks like she's playing Fallout. Zacronus is playing Pokemon. He's doing his first Nuzlocke. I'm going to send you over to Zacronus, actually. I think that'd be pretty good. So, we're going to go ahead and raid Zacronus. And let me go ahead and just hit OK on that. We're going to go to face cam here. So, again, thank you for checking out the stream. Thank you for, I hope you all enjoyed at least this portion of episode 4 of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I will go ahead and send you over to Zacronus now, who is doing a Nuzlocke on Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, or I think he's got Diamond. It's either that or Shining Pearl. I think he's got Diamond, though. I could be wrong. And I hope you all have a wonderful night. And I will see you either tomorrow or very soon. So, have a good night.